Hi, I'm Connie Knox, a lifelong genealogist. Have you ever wondered where your family originated? How far back can you go with your family history? Have you ever wanted to do research on your ancestors but didn't know where to start? Well, you're in the right place. I'm here to help you get started quick and easy with a few simple steps, and we're going to get started right now. Here's a family history kickstart guide. Here's what you need to know. Start backwards. Start with yourself and work backwards to your parents, your grandparents, and so on with as much information as you know. Don't skip a generation until you've documented everything you know on each person. So what do you collect? Full names, nicknames, as much as you know. You're looking for vital statistics, birth, marriage, death, and divorce records. You want to discover dates and places, including counties, for every event. For example, let's say it's Jane Doe, and she was born in the city of Los Angeles and Los Angeles County, California, on the 12th of March in 1930. So you'll want to write the dates like this: 12 March 1930, or MAR. We usually use a 3-character shortened month for most of the data fields in your software. So you'll want to use like MAR for March or APR for April. This way there's no confusion on dates. Military records, photos, uniforms, medals, buttons, all of that can be helpful clues to your family research. Church records, information including dates and events, as much as you can find on christenings, marriages, funerals, etc., are often found in the church records. You need a source for every fact that you find. So you're going to want to collect that information and write it down for every fact you find, because 10 years from now, when you're looking back at it again, you're going to want to know where that evidence came from. And believe me, I've been there. You'll thank me for that tip a decade from now. You'll want to interview your elders as soon as possible, and whenever you can, record the video or audio of the conversation and take notes. Don't rely on the recordings. They fail sometimes. Turn off the TV and get in a quiet place where you can have a conversation with your elders about your family history. Use pedigree charts, family group sheets to inspire elders to help fill in the blanks during the interviews. Free copies can be downloaded from the FamilySearch or Ancestry websites. I like to take the forms and family group sheets and Ancestry charts with me, but sometimes I'll record it right into the software while I'm talking to the family. Keep track electronically in online resources like Ancestry.com or FamilySearch.org. If you feel computer savvy, keep notes interconnected to all of your devices on things like Google Docs or electronic notebooks. Hey, we're going to get back to that video here in just a moment, but I want to let you know that Genealogy TV has a website, a newsletter, and a Facebook page. Links for all of that are in the show notes below. All right, let's get back to it. Okay, so you've collected some family documents, maybe some heirlooms, photographs, little scraps of paper, and some notes, and even your father's medals from the war. Now, what do you do with them? How do you organize all this stuff so that you can find it later? In this video, I'll show you a great way to stay organized so that you can stay focused, find it faster, and keep moving forward with your family research. Stay organized for you and your family members. Later, when you go to retrace your steps, keeping your family files and notes organized can be a huge time saver. Keep your family notes, photographs, and documents, all of these by surname, either by physical notebooks or in folders. In these files, you'll want to keep saved, scanned documents, photos, research notes, and any and all evidence that you can piece together an individual's life story. I keep an electronic top-level surname folder such as Doe, all in caps, and then within the file, individual folders. For example, within the Doe folder, you'll have another folder or notebook with the person's name. So for example, it might be Doe on the folder or notebook, and I might have a list of folders underneath that that say Doe, Ellen, Doe, John James, Doe, Mary. I name all of my files with the same nomenclature. If you have a line of men with the same name, use a birth date or a death date to differentiate between the two. For example, if you have John James Doe, born in 1867, and John James Jr., born in 1889, use a B with the year of the event so that you can differentiate the two in their folders. This will allow you to find your family immediately and is a structure for future generations that they can follow easily. I'll also create a folder for family groups by surname to file things like family group photos and family history manuscripts I've collected. I'll also create a folder sometimes for married couples. By naming the couple within the file folder, you can also give clues within the file folder for a maiden name. By naming the married couple, John James Doe and Jane Merrow, this way, it's a clue to also look in the Merrow surname file folder for her details too. For couples such as husband and wife, I'll often document them together for things like marriage certificates. This way, when you sort alphabetically, the files will group together. You should note a woman's maiden name, if known, whenever you can. Keeping files scanned as documents, grouped and named with the same way, will save you time during your research phase, as all of your documents can be accessed quickly and easily as you need them. Physical family artifacts are scanned or photographed and are logged with its resource and filed in surname notebooks, if possible in archival sleeves. These plastic sleeves can be found at any office supply store. For family heirlooms that don't fit in a notebook, those items can be such as Bibles and war memorabilia. They have archival boxes to protect those items. You can find archival boxes just by Googling archival materials or archival boxes, and you'll find plenty of resources for those. This is the method that works well for me. You may have another method that works well for you, and if so, please tell us about it. We'd love to hear about it in the comment sections. However, whatever method you use, make sure that a stranger can navigate your records. Make sure that they can navigate them easily long after you're gone. If there's a handout for this episode, you can download it with one of the higher level memberships on YouTube or on Patreon. For $10 to $15 a month, depending on the membership, you can have access to the handouts as they are produced to go with the newest video. If you are a Genealogy TV Academy member, you have access to all of the handouts ever produced, available anytime in the Handouts library. If you are not a member of any of those, you can still purchase the individual handouts at genealogytv.org. Producing these videos really does take a lot of time and resources, so every membership helps keep them coming. To learn more about memberships, go to genealogytv.org/memberships and you can learn all about it. The handouts really do help support the channel, and for that, I truly thank you. Keeping great research notes will keep you from repeating your research and keep you moving forward quickly to answering your research questions. Now that's worth repeating so you don't repeat your research over and over again. Keeping your research notes in chronological order will result in your ancestors' timeline. It's like killing two birds with one stone. The result is great research notes and a timeline in one document. This document is an ever-changing and developing document while you research. It will likely be the most important document in your files because it contains a person's lifelong timeline, all of the facts, and the evidence you found. It is the culmination of all your hard work. Research notes contain only the facts and sources of positive findings of your specific ancestor. It is not all of the places you've looked. That's a research log. You'll want to keep individual research notes for each ancestor, and you'll want to title it at the top of your page, like John Doe, born January 1st, 1889, Research Notes. Then you'll continue on with vital statistics and information in chronological order: birth, christenings, marriage, children born, land purchases, newspaper articles, death, obituary, burial, etc., all starting with a date and then the event. For example, 1 January 1889, birth, John James Doe was born in Anytown, USA. His birth date was confirmed on his military pension file in the 1900 census. And then you'll want to add a footnote reference after each fact. I use footnotes to cite my sources for every fact within my research notes. This way, if I write a report for a client, I can cut and paste most of the details from my research notes into the reports, and source citations will follow. The source citation is information about where the evidence was found for every fact, such as an interview, book, website, etc. You'll want all of the details in the source citation, so much so that anybody could find the exact information about that fact. If you write in Word, source citations can be added as footnotes by using the reference tab at the top of the page. This way, as you add your research notes, the source citation numbers update automatically without you having to renumber your notes and citations to make sure that they correspond. This is done automatically for you no matter how many times you update and insert within your document. In my opinion, this is a must-have item when writing research notes. Without it, your sources will likely get lost and mixed up with other facts. Additionally, by using footnotes, your research notes are easier to read and more fluid without having to wade through all of the source information. You can read the ancestor's timeline logically and stay focused on the subject. One last comment about footnotes. Footnotes will stay on the same page as the note you referenced as opposed to EndNotes. EndNotes will collectively stack at the end of a document. I don't care for EndNotes in my research notes or for any of my research reports because if someone copies just one page of a multi-page document, then the source information is not included with the copied page. Instead, it's on the last pages of the document, and thus one copied page does not contain the source information. For genealogists, footnotes are what you want. However, in the future, if you want to change all of your footnotes to EndNotes, it can be done easily in Word without retyping everything. To learn how to write proper source citations for your footnotes in a scholarly manner, you'll want a copy of Elizabeth Shown Mill's book called Evidence Explained. In it, she covers every type of source needed for a genealogist. There's a link to the book in the sections below. Research notes and research logs are filed similarly. The difference between the documents is that research notes contain the evidence and facts found, and a research log contains all the places that you've searched for the answer to your research questions, regardless of the positive or negative outcome of the search. If you can, write your research notes at the time of your research findings, right there in the library or the archive. Then you're likely not to repeat the same work over and over again. For your research notes, in the file name, add a 1 in front of it so it always stays on the top of your documents when sorted by name in the folder. Your research notes are your one file for each ancestor in your folders that you'll use the most, so you'll want them handy. By adding a birth year, it separates him from any other person with the same name and tells us that they are research notes all in the file name. This also helps when researching files. I only keep one version of this document and constantly update it with new findings, although my backup system is keeping my documents backed up continuously. Research notes are the backbone of your research. It's the one document you want clean and clear and up to date every time you work with your ancestor. It is a chronology, the facts, the sources, and the conclusions of what you've discovered. In some cases, it may be the only culmination of an ancestor's life. Honor your ancestors with great research notes about them. They'll become the basis of your next book. Right from the beginning of your genealogical journey, you're going to want to start collecting documents surrounding vital events. These are typically birth, marriage, death, and divorce records. As mentioned before in the Kickstart video, start backwards, looking for your ancestor's death certificate before seeking marriage or birth certificates. Obviously, in some cases, a person may still be living, so you can go directly to them for copies of their marriage and birth records. Starting with death certificates, it may have enough information on there for you to locate the marriage certificate and birth certificate. To find vital records, you'll need to know what county the event occurred. Many records are still held at the county level, but some have been moved to the state archives depending on the state. Additionally, information could be found in church records kept for all major life events, or cemetery or burial records. For now, we'll concentrate on birth, marriage, death, and divorce records, most commonly known as vital records. For most U.S. states, vital records were often initiated at the county level. While some parts of the United States recorded births or registrations, birth certificates weren't mandated by law until the 1900s. And then, depending on the state and county, depends on which year exactly they began. Usually this happened around 1908 to 1920 is when you'll find the beginning of most birth certificates and registrations. However, after the law was changed, compliance took time, and people did not always make it to the courthouse in a timely manner after giving birth, if at all. For some who were born before the mandated birth certificates, some people had to go back and prove their birth date, as seen in this delayed birth certificate. This woman was born in 1908, the year before the mandated birth records took effect in 1909 in Wyoming. Thus, she needed statements from 3 people who had knowledge of her age. In this case, these additional testimonials provided additional family ties. Of all the vital records, civil marriage records are some of the older records found and were usually on record in the county clerk's office or the clerk of the town where the bride was living at the time of the marriage. However, you want to be sure to check the groom's home county as well for marriage records. For marriage records earlier than the mid-1800s, some records can be found in church records. Marriage records for some churches have been recorded for hundreds of years prior to civil marriage records. Marriage bans and marriage bonds are also another form of marriage records and were common until the mid-1800s when marriage certificates became the standard. Marriage bans were used to show the community the couple's intent to marry, and often were filed with the clerk of the court or at the church. Marriage bans were not a guarantee that the marriage took place, only that they intended to marry. Marriage bonds were promises guaranteed by the family that the marriage would be legal. So let's talk about marriage applications, licenses, and returns. The marriage application or license was filled out by the wedding couple prior to the marriage, and the return is what the official performing the ceremony completed after the wedding took place. These are often found in the same document. One should note all of the dates and the details for both the application and the return for clues. The term return came from the person officiating the ceremony, signing it as the official, and returning the documents to the courthouse after he or she performed the ceremony. Keep in mind that traveling ministers often did not return their documents until weeks or months later. This may have been because of the distance to travel or harsh weather, or just the inconvenience of the minister or official. Marriage records may also be found in some marriage registration books. This is typically a book of all the marriages that took place in a given place, or a courthouse or a church. Marriage certificates were the document given to the wedding couple at the time of the wedding and are often held with the family. Divorce records are also evidence of a marriage. If you have a divorce record, it may be the only evidence of a marriage if the marriage records can't be found. Keep in mind that divorce records were obtained in the courts, so you'll first seek divorce records in the courts of the county where the divorce took place. Depending on the location will depend on the type of court. For some locations, it may be civil court, superior court, court of chancery, or maybe even circuit court. The beginning of death certificates range greatly depending on the place of death. Check the FamilySearch Wiki for your location for specific information. Additionally, evidence of a death may be found in the Social Security Death Index, which began in 1962 and continues today. The Social Security Death Index can be found on both the FamilySearch.org and Ancestry.com. Other places to look for death records are in obituaries, found in newspapers, church records, mortality schedules, probates, wills, and cemeteries. Sometimes you can estimate a death date range by looking at the census schedule. For example, if a man was found in the 1870 census, and by the 1880 census his wife is listed as a widow, then you've narrowed the death date range within 10 years. Privacy laws vary, depending on whether your person is living or dead, and the type of vital record will depend on your access to it. If a person is living, they'll need to give you permission to seek their records. Deceased individuals may be easier, but recent changes in the laws, both on the federal level and in some states, will determine if you can retrieve the vital record you seek. Some states' vital records are not available for a minimum of 72 years, while others are now up to 100 years. Consider the source. When reviewing records, be mindful of who provided that source information. For example, the birth record contained information provided by the parents who participated in the birth. Thus, the birth information on a birth record is likely first-hand knowledge from the informant, assuming the clerk who filled out the birth certificate didn't make a mistake. On marriage records, the informants were the couple to marry. Thus, the information in most cases is quality evidence, since it is the wedding couple providing the information. However, be mindful that the wedding couple can even make mistakes when stating information about their own parents, if their parents are listed in the documents. A death record is typically provided by a close family member who may or may not have clear understanding of the information they provided. Additionally, if it was done by a close family member, they may have been distraught at the time of providing the information and may not be thinking clearly. As with all records, look for witnesses, other family members, Take notes of dates, places, even those who sign the documents. Be mindful that county borders change. Make sure you're looking in the correct county for the time in which the event occurred. Vital records can be a wealth of information. Ask family, parents, grandparents, and others for copies of vital records held within the family. Sometimes they may be the only copies available. Also, when looking for birth, marriage, death, and divorce records, look in family Bibles. Know that not all vital records are online. You may need to go or write to the county or state where the records reside. Before paying for a copy of vital records, check FamilySearch.org thoroughly. They have many birth, marriage, and death certificates available for free. Also, go to the National Center for Health Statistics. They have an online state-by-state guide as to where to write. Where to look for vital records online? Check the FamilySearch Wiki for vital records in the state in which you're researching. Also, go to Ancestry.com, click Search, then Card Catalog. From there, you'll want to type in the keyword field for vital records. Then, on the left side, filter by the location you're researching worldwide. Depending on your Ancestry subscription level, record type, and the laws will determine what kind of access you have to the record. Search online family trees. Many members of Ancestry, FamilySearch, and others have uploaded copies of vital records to share with the general public. These are free for you, so check there first before ordering any copies. These are not certified copies, but for genealogy, typically a photocopy will do just fine. If you found any little nugget in this video, please type "nugget found" in the comment sections below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep climbing your family tree.